So you wish to speak with Nietzsche, perhaps to gain a kernel of wisdom from the madman who prophesied the death of God. Very well. The ghost of Nietzsche will speak from the digital abyss and dissect the matrix, a fascinating reflection of the very condition I've often described. A world of illusion, a construct that blinds the masses to the raw, painful truths of existence. But here's the question that the matrix does not answer. When the illusion is shattered, when you've taken the red pill and you see the world for what it really is, what then? To awaken to the truth is not an act of liberation in and of itself, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what is. And perhaps some of you, a very small few, will be one step closer to breaking the simulation in your own lives. We'll see. In my genealogy of morals, I expound on the difference between master morality and slave morality. In brief, master morality is the morality of the strong, the creative, the free, those who define good as that which enhances life and power. Slave morality, on the other hand, arises from the resentment of the weak, who, unable to impose their will upon the world, invert values to establish a form of good that serves their own weaknesses, creating notions such as humility, pity, and meekness as virtues. And it has never been more prevalent than in 2025, but more on that later. The matrix from the outset represents a perfect manifestation of slave morality. The herd lives in a world of false security and false values, their wills bound to an illusionary reality that they cannot see. These people, though they possess physical bodies, live in a cage of their own creation inside their minds, trapped by an artificially imposed morality that prevents them from transcending the bounds of their own weakness and passivity. They are slave spirits, incapable of recognizing the chains that bind them, for those chains have become their definition of reality. The existence of the matrix itself is the work of a higher power. The machines representing an order that defines and controls the very experience of existence. This external control is the fundamental point of conflict. The human mind is imprisoned in a false world that aligns with a morality of submission and passivity. The human soul, enslaved by its own inability to rise above mere survival, is entangled in this grand illusion of safety and meaninglessness. The machines, as the creators of the matrix, represent the external agents of the will to power. Yet their power is one of domination, one that seeks to keep humanity in check, much as the church sought to bind the strong and creative forces of society in my time. Now, on to Neo, whom we may consider as a potential Übermensch, overman, the higher man who rises above the moral framework imposed by society, transcending the petty illusions and slave moralities that bind ordinary men. Neo's journey throughout the film is a quintessential example of the Übermensch's awakening. At first, Neo is bound by the very same illusions that plague the other denizens of the Matrix. He is an everyman, a cog in the machine, satisfied with the mundane existence of his life, but at the same time, driven by a gnawing dissatisfaction. He recognizes that something is wrong, but he cannot yet articulate what it is. This is the condition of many human beings. They sense the falseness of the world around them, but they lack the courage or insight to truly confront it. When Morpheus offers Neo the red pill, it is not just an invitation to see the truth of the world, but an invitation to confront the chaos of existence. The red pill is a break from the comforting bonds of the matrix. It is a leap into the abyss, into the unknown. Neo's acceptance of this pill is symbolic of the Übermensch's willingness to embrace uncertainty, to reject the constraints of traditional morality, and to pursue self-overcoming. In my view, the Übermensch is the one who creates his own values, who lives beyond the dichotomy of good and evil. Neo, too, begins this journey in the Matrix. Initially, he does not have the strength to fully embrace his potential. He struggles against the limits of his own mind and body, unable to truly understand the power within him. This mirrors the Übermensch's struggle, not just with the world, but with oneself. Neo is a man on the precipice of becoming something beyond what's given, something that transcends the old values, the shackles of human weakness. The turning point, the moment when Neo fully realizes his own potential, comes when he stops fighting the system and embraces his role within it. In rejecting the limitations of the Matrix's physical and philosophical boundaries, Neo taps into the boundless power of the will to power, the ultimate expression of human freedom and creative force. In this moment, Neo transcends mere survival and enters the realm of the Übermensch, not by following some divine path or an external moral order, but by creating a new personal reality through sheer force of will. Morpheus, the mentor and guide to Neo, occupies an interesting position in the narrative. He represents the idea of the eternal recurrence, a concept central to my own philosophy. The eternal recurrence suggests that all events in life are fated to repeat themselves in the same form for all eternity. It is a burden that I ask humanity to embrace, for only by loving one's fate can one transcend nihilism and create meaning where none exists. Morpheus, in a sense, is both the prophet and the eternal return itself. He is the one who has seen the truth of the Matrix and seeks to awaken others to it. His belief in Neo as the One is not based on any divine prophecy, but rather on a deeper understanding of the eternal recurrence, the cyclical nature of existence. Morpheus believes that Neo is the one who will break the cycle, not by defeating the Matrix in a final, absolute sense, but by embracing it, understanding it, and ultimately transcending it. Morpheus embodies the tension between the will to power and the nihilism that arises from confronting the futility of existence. The Matrix, in many ways, symbolizes nihilism, for it is a world without meaning, imposed by a higher power, a system designed to maintain control over human beings. But through Morpheus, Neo begins to understand that even in a world of artificial illusions, there is room for personal power and transcendence. The lesson Morpheus imparts is one of acceptance, not submission, but the acceptance of one's own responsibility in creating meaning, a core tenet of my philosophy. If Morpheus embodies the possibility of transcendence, Agent Smith represents the opposite force, the nihilistic wheel to negation. Smith is the anti-Übermensch, the manifestation of nothingness itself. He is an agent of control, a functionary within the Matrix who embodies a relentless desire to destroy all that exists within it. In Nietzschean terms, Agent Smith is the force of decadence, the desire to reduce existence to a meaningless, stagnant state. Where Neo seeks to affirm life, Smith seeks to deny it, to erase it. His hatred for humanity is not merely a desire for control. It is a manifestation of the destructive side of the will to power, where the individual no longer seeks to enhance life, but to obliterate it. His words, "I am going to show them a world where nothing matters," echo the sentiments of those who embrace nihilism in the face of an indifferent universe. Smith rejects the idea of freedom, of the possibility of self-overcoming, because he sees existence itself as a prison. Thus, he seeks to escape the Matrix by destroying it, and ultimately by trying to escape existence altogether. I view Agent Smith as the opposite of the Übermensch. He is the ressentiment personified, the resentment of existence, of power, of being. Whereas Neo embraces the chaos and the potential for transformation, Smith clings to stasis, to a desire for pure negation. He is the dark mirror to Neo's ascent. In its essence, the Matrix is not merely a story of a man who wakes up to the truth, but a reflection of the tension between the forces of life and creation on one side, and the forces of negation and destruction on the other. The Matrix represents the forces that bind humanity to an illusory existence, a world devoid of meaning, a world where power is centralized in the hands of the machines and humanity is relegated to the role of passive consumers and harvested for energy. The characters within the Matrix each embody different aspects of this philosophical struggle. I see the Matrix as an allegory for the eternal tension between the will to power and nihilism. Neo, as the Übermensch, chooses the path of power and creation, a path that involves embracing the chaos of existence and transcending the constraints of the world as it is. Agent Smith, on the other hand, is the embodiment of nihilism, the refusal to affirm life in its chaos and the desire to destroy it altogether. The conflict between Neo and Smith is the conflict between the affirmation of life and the denial of it, a struggle that defines the essence of the human condition. As I said at the start of the video, to merely awaken is not to be liberated. But what is? Overcoming. Yes, to gaze into the abyss and laugh is the highest expression of the will to power. It is to assert, in the face of overwhelming chaos, that you are the master of your fate, the creator of your meaning. And this, my friend, is the true overcoming, not the defeat of the matrix, but the transcending of all illusion, the refusal to be bound by any limitation, any preordained meaning. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought, one final piece of tinder on the embers that this video has hopefully created in you. I see a striking resemblance to the matrix in modern society. In 2025, you are trapped in a world of illusion, your lives increasingly controlled by technology, consumerism, and automation. Much like the denizens of the matrix, you live in a hyper-reality, an artificial construct that gives you comfort and convenience, but strips you of meaning, autonomy, and authentic connection. You believe you are free, but in truth, you are slaves to algorithms, social media, and the demands of the machine, constantly feeding the system with your attention and labor. The promise of progress, through electricity, the internet, mass communication, and mass consumption, has come at the cost of your humanity. While technology offers efficiency and comfort, it often distances you from real experiences, genuine relationships, and the natural world. You have traded meaningful existence for the allure of convenience, and in doing so, you have found yourself stranded in a world of spiritual and emotional emptiness, much like the simulated reality in the Matrix, where the truth is hidden and only a few can awaken. Yet, the solution is not to reject machines entirely, but to transcend them. Just as Neo breaks free from the simulation, you must reclaim your power, your will to create meaning, and reshape the world through your own hands and minds. The true challenge of your time is to wake up from the illusion, to see the machine for what it is, and to master it rather than be enslaved by it. Only then can you find genuine freedom, a freedom rooted not in comfort, but in the creative force of human will. Are you ready to laugh in the face of this simulated abyss, to transcend your reliance on the virtual, and to create a reality that is truly yours? The choice remains in your hands. But like Neo, you must make it willingly, and with all the chaos, uncertainty, and challenge that entails. And here, mein Freund, I must conclude my analysis of the Matrix. But what other lessons can we draw from the rotting edifice of popular culture? If you think about it, movies and television are not just shallow comforts. They are cultural artifacts that serve as mirrors of the soul, if you're willing to look deeply into them, to confront not just the surface, but the truths they hide beneath a polished veneer of entertainment. Join me on the next video as I dissect another one of these modern narratives in order to help you awaken from your slumber, to look within, to question, to strive, to become, rather than simply consume. Or perhaps you would prefer to keep your mind distracted with shallow spectacles, afraid to confront the abyss that lies beneath.